The topic which is taken from the Core 2 Unit, Core 11 Unit 2, Henrik Ibsen's written Ghost, right? What we will discuss actually in this particular session, we will discuss the introduction, right? Uh, like we need to discuss about Henrik Ibsen, the writer, and we will also justify why the title name is given as The Ghost. Besides that, we will go through the summary of it, or we will take some of the annotation, right? And we will explain that. We will go for the main ideas and subordinate ideas of the play, right? What is the central theme? Like you can talk about heredity, morality, truth, social hypocrisy, isn't it? So, beside that, sub themes, when we talk about sub themes, we will talk about duty, freedom, love, parental responsibility, social reputation, isn't it? Then we will also discuss about the character explanation. So, who are the characters in this story? You would find out Mrs. Alving, Alving, and second one is called as Oswald Alving, and third one is called as Pastor Manders, and Jacob Ingston or Ingstrand, and Regina. These are the characters. These are the characters, and beside that also we will talk about how this play, right? So uses with Aristotle's six of the elements. What are the six elements? That's known as a mythos, that's known as a ethos, dianoia, lexis, melos, and opsis. Isn't it? When we talk about mythos, it means plot. When we talk about ethos, it means character. When we talk about dianoia, that means thought or time. When we talk about lexis, what kind of languages that the author has used. And when we talk about melos, it means we talk about music or sound. Beside that, we will also discuss opsis, which is known as a spectacle, right? So, or you can say the creation of the stagecraft, isn't it? But previous to that, we will go for the introduction about Henrik Ibsen's written Ghost and the justification of that title. Right. Now, think of it when we talk about Henrik Ibsen, right? Who is he? Now, was the writer of the, or is the writer of the topic or play called as a Ghost, right? So, was born in the year of 1828, in the year of 1906, means he died. He was a Norway. He was a Norway playwright. So, and that's why often called the father of modern drama. He was the called as a father of modern drama. So the year you remember, 1828 to 1906, right? Second is called as he was a Norway playwright and was known as the father of modern drama. So he changed the way theatre was written and performed before Henrik Ibsen. So you would find out most of the plays were written romantic, poetic, and you can talk about full of heroes of kings. So what Ibsen did actually, Ibsen, however, wrote about ordinary people. Ibsen wrote about what? Whom? Ordinary people in real life situations, right? His plays, you can say that looked at the problems inside families. So, what are the problems that you find out in the families? What are the problems that you find out in the marriages? What are the problems that you find out in the society? Because of this, means what he tries to do, he is linked to the realist movement in literature, right? So what he is doing, he is linked into the realist movement in literature. Now, if you talk about that, means that is nothing but a Henrik Ibsen's introduction. And if you talk about that, some of his famous plays through which you would find out the kind of problems inside families, marriages, and the society uh, are nothing but called as a doll's house, a doll's house. Second is called as a Hedda Gabler, Hedda, Hedda Gabler. And you also find out an enemy of the people, an enemy of the people, and Ghost in the year of 1881. Right? So many of his works were very controversial. Many of his plays were very controversial when it was first performed, right? So that dealt with the subjects like hypocrisy, gender roles, and venereal diseases. Venereal diseases. So corruption and morality. So these are the topics actually. These are the topics that you can say that polite society of the 19th century did not want to discuss. Did not want to discuss. Where? In public. What are the topics? Like hypocrisy, gender roles, uh, you talk about diseases, you talk about corruption and morality. Even if it happens or they happen in a society in a huge manner, but they don't want to discuss that, right? So, but what Henrik Ibsen did, Henrik Ibsen then took these topics and present before the public through the medium of what you can say drama, right? So, Ghost is one of Ibsen's most shocking plays. Now, understand that. Ghost is one of the most shocking plays of whom? Means Henrik Ibsen. So, when it was the first stage, when it was the first performed, many people called it nothing but unethical, immoral, unethical, immoral, illogical, and disgusting. So, what kind of a play it is? What kind of a play it is? So, newspapers said it was a dirty war. It was a dirty war. Why? Because it talked openly about the sex. It talked openly about disease. It talked openly about lies inside the family, right? And distrust in the family, right? So, but today, Ghost is considered a masterpiece. Why it is considered a masterpiece of modern theater? Now, because it bravely asks questions. It bravely asks questions about what? Questions about truth, questions about duty, questions about freedom, isn't it? So, if you talk about Ibsen's written Ghost, so that justifies the title, why it is pointed as the ghost. Because the title ghost does not mean real ghost. The title ghost doesn't mean that real ghost. So who was walking around the house, who was moving around the house instead. Ibsen uses the word ghost as a what? As a symbol, as a you can say that as a symbol, or you can say that directly comparing metaphor, right? So the ghosts are the what? The ghosts are the past mistakes. The ghosts are the past mistakes that haunts or that haunt, isn't it? Any mistake that you did in the past, you think about it. It haunts you, right? So that's what the author wanted to point out: the comparison of ghost with the past mistakes, past scenes, past lie, right? Or you can say mistakes, scenes, lies that still live in the present. That still live in the present. So that is why you would find out that the writer is directly comparing with the what these topics, isn't it? With the title called Ghost. Got my point? So am I clear with this? So Mrs. Alving, what Mrs. Alving's roles here? Now Mrs. Alving says in the play that what? Ghosts. Mrs. Alving says in the drama, one line where she says that means a ghost. I'm hunted by ghost. I'm hunted by ghost means what? A ghost made a house in my body, isn't it? So they are not actual spirits that called as hover around the human's body, right? But all the old beliefs, all the old traditions, and old ways of thinking that people are afraid of or afraid to get rid of. Get rid of what? Now, those sins, those mistakes, those lies, right or not? So, like the ghost, if it hovers on you, so you call the magical people to, eradicate that, usually with the charms, right? Likewise, you would also find out that means the mistakes, sins, and lies you did in the past, you said in the past, you repay, right? You feel like what you did the mistakes and how you can get over that, get rid of that, isn't it? So here you would find out the ghost of Captain, the ghost of Captain Alvin, right? So though he is dead, still controls what? Still controls the family, right? So his immoral life, his unfaithfulness, and his disease affect his wife, affect his son even after death. Did you understand that? So we were talking about what? We were talking about the ghost of Captain Alvin. The ghost of Captain Alvin. So what happened? Though he is dead, right? But his he still controls. He still controls. He still controls whom? He still controls the family. His immoral life. Sorry, his immoral. His immoral life. So his unfaithfulness means whatever he has done, what kind of mistakes he did in his life. So his unfulfilledness and his diseases that affect his wife and son even after his death. Right. So society's ghosts are also present. Right. So society's ghosts are also present things like religious hypocrisy. So religious hypocrisy means the kind of excessive belief in religion, right? Second, it's called as a false morality, right? False belief also, and fear of public opinion, what people will say, isn't it? These are nothing but called as a ghost. These are nothing but called as a ghost. Like when you say something, you have a fear that what the other person will think, even if it is your benefit, but you never ask question. You simply means nod your head, shake your head, and you only marks your presence, right? Nothing else, isn't it? So, therefore, if you talk about the title ghost, it is justified. Why? Because it shows how the past continues to control the present. Past continues to control the present. The characters cannot escape. The character cannot escape the invisible ghost of duty, right? So, reputation, inherited disease, and social pressure, isn't it? Now, we all are bound with it. We all are. Like, let's say that what you married, you are married, so you understand your duty, isn't it? You are bound with to do that duty, fulfill that duty. You are a son, you are a brother, right or not? You are a father, right? So in all these cases, your duty comes. Your duty comes. How you supposed to means to fulfill that. That is the ghost in you. Right. Second is called as a reputation. So you live in the society and you always have given priority. You always have given the priority to whom? Given the priority to means society, isn't it? So, and third is called as you live in the society, as you are a human being, you also have a inherited disease, right? So, and social pressure. Got my point? So, in that case, if I talk about uh, the just a minute, the topic called as a ghost, right? So it's all about not the real ghost, but the ghost that comes with all such kind of qualities present in it, right? Henrik Ibsen's Ghost actually published in the year of 1880, right? And it is a three-act play. It is a three-act play that shocked audiences when it first appeared. It deals with a taboo. Do you understand taboo? Taboo is called as a certain belief system, certain subject, right? Like marital identity, marital identity, or then hereditary illness, marital identity, hereditary illness, especially syphilis, right? So incest, these are nothing but called illness, disease, right? So hypocrisy in religion and the oppressive nature means that called the way one touches to the other, right? Humiliates to the other. So oppressive nature of social connection, right? So the play is set in a small Norwegian town at the country estate of Helen Alving, Mrs. Helen Alving, who is preparing to open an orphanage, who is planning to open an orphanage in memory of her husband. And her husband name is called as a Captain Alving, right? So, and Mrs. Allen Alvin is the wife of him, or if his, right? So, at the first glance, the orphanage seems like a noble charitable project. So, what orphanage is? Orphanage is nothing but referring to the means child whose parents are not there, or children whose parents are not there, right? So, it is a noble charitable project. But gradually, what happened? Ibsen reveals a world of deception. What did Ibsen receive? Ibsen reveals a world of deception. Deception is called as a cheating, like suppressed truths. Suppressed truths means stuffing truths, preventing truths, and hidden sins. Hidden sins means some of the bad things that are hidden, secret, right? The title ghost does it refer to supernatural spirit that I told you, right? But to the lingering effects. Lingering effects means you did something in the past and that's a consequence or that may be come out in the present situation, right? Lingering effects of past actions, social traditions, and moral hypocrisies that continue to haunt, live in the living, present in the living situation. So, when we talk about Helen Alving, Pastor Manders, Oswald Alving, Rajin Engström, and Jacob Engström, who are they? The first one is called as Mrs. Helen Alving. So she is nothing but the widow. Widow, you understand? So widow of Captain Alving, very intelligent, very sensitive, and very strong willpower. Right? She has concealed. Concealed means what? She has revealed. She has revealed what? Her husband's immoral life from society to protect his reputation, isn't it? Second is called as a Pastor Manders. Now, who is Pastor Manders? Now, when you talk about the word pastor, the meaning of the pastor is called as a clergyman. So, Pastor Manders is nothing but a clergyman and a family friend of whom means Mrs. Helen Alving. Right. So he is a conservative, moralistic. Conservative means what? So that's something called as trying to uh, live in the society and protect his own reputation. Right. So moralistic and concerned about social appearances. Concerned about social appearance. He doesn't like to present before the society or appear before the society. He advised Mrs. Alving that uh, years ago in Paris, for many years, sorry, what is that? That called as means he stated Mrs. Alving years ago that how her husband was unfaithful. How was how was her husband unfaithful? Unfaithful, you understand? Disloyal, cheated, right? So Oswald Alving, right? That is what the role of whom? Pastor Mander, right? Pastor Manders. So third is called as Oswald Alving. When we talk about Oswald Alving, Mrs. Alving's son name is called as Oswald Alving, isn't it? So Mrs. Alving's son is an artist. So and who has lived in Paris for many years, and he returns home at the start of the play. When the play starts, he actually has come, right? Or he came here. So he, and what kind of a person he is? Oswald Alving is a charming, you can say modern minded, and but suffering from inherited illness. Inherited illness means the illness present with his father may be present with him. That's why it is known as an inherited illness. So then the next one is called as Regina Ingstrand. So Mrs. Alving's maiden name is called as Regina Ingstrand, right? So who was raised in her household, ambitious, proud, and dreaming of a better life. Dreaming of a better life. So then the last one is called as a Jacob Ingstrand. And if you talk about Jacob Ingstrand, Regina's supposed father, Regina's supposed father. Now, who is Jacob Ingstrand? Now, Regina's supposed father, it means that called as a, is he the real father? No. So, he is a carpenter, a hypocritical, right, dangerous, manipulative, right, so manipulative man. Always seeking what? Personal advantage. What does he want? Personal advantage. Now you found out how many characters we discussed? Five. So who are they? Helen Alving, Mrs. Helen Alving, Pater Manders, Pater Manders, then sorry, Pastor Manders, and third is called as Oswald Alving, uh, Oswald Alving, then Regina Ingstrand, and Jacob Ingstrand. These are the characters and their roles, isn't it? Now, when the story begins, it was known as a Act 1, right? And that Act 1 is indicating about secrets. Secrets begin to unfold. How the secrets means are presented, right? How the secrets reveal, isn't it? So the play opens at Mrs. Alving's home, right? Regina is talking to her father, right? And what is her father's name? Ingstrand, right? So who is Regina? That called as a maid servant, right? Of Alving, isn't it? So Regina is talking to her father, Ingstrand. Who is Ingstrand? The carpenter, manipulator, and supposed father, right? So what does he do? He tries to convince he tries to convince. Who tries to convince? That called as a Ingstrand. He tries to persuade her means his supposed daughter, to come live with him in town. Right. So where he plans to run a sellers tavern disguised as a home for seamen. right? So Regina refuses, proud of her higher position in Mrs. Alvin's household. So Regina is happy. Where? Now Regina is happy with the place where she is settled, when she carries the status, right? And suspicious of her father's motive. And Regina doubts that why her father is calling every time, isn't it? So their argument shows the first sign of corruption and dishonesty. Now, it is the corruption and dishonesty which you find out Regina doubted in means her father, right? So that is the first instance. Soon, Pastor Manders arrived. When Pastor Manders arrives, he and Mrs. Alvin discuss preparation for the orphanage dedicated to her late husband. That we know, right? Mrs. Alvin wanted to open an orphanage, right, to dedicate her husband, late husband, isn't it? So, and Pastor Manders means uh, is nothing but supporting Mrs. Alvin, isn't it? So Pastor Manders praises the noble memory of, you can say that Captain Alvin, isn't it? Believing that Captain Alvin to have been a pillar of respectability. People will respect him. Mrs. Alvin, however, knows the truth. What is the truth that Mrs. Alvin knows? Right. And if she knows, then what she does here? Right. So she knows the truth that how her husband was unfaithful, drunken, and dissolute. Right. So then, character wise also not correct, isn't it? So during the conversation or their conversation, it means we talk about Pastor Manders and Mrs. Alvin, isn't it? Mrs. Alvin. So Manders criticizes the immoral modern books Mrs. Alvin reads. Right. So, and he insists that the orphanage must not be insured against a fire, must not be insured against a fire, since that would simply lack of faith in divine providence. It means what? If you are constructing a house, you are insuring that house. If any kind of accident or natural calamity occur, you will get your money back, isn't it? But here, what happened when Pastor Manders refuses to make that place insured? Why? No, because she believes that it is the place of the God, right? So, and if we make insure to that house, what will happen? Now that will create, right, or loses the belief towards the God, isn't it? So that is why you can say that since that would imply lack of faith in what you said that divine providence, Mrs. Alvin reluctantly agrees. It means Mrs. Alvin agrees, but she hesitates. So she hesitates, uh, but hesitatedly agrees. So despite her practical concern, so she is a practical one. All right. So when Oswald enters, right? We know that who is Oswald is the son, right? Oswald Alvins. So when Oswald enters, Manders is shocked, surprised at his liberal, modern views about love and marriage. Now we know that Oswald Alvin is nothing but a popular because of his liberal, modern, and uh, love and marriage, isn't it? Views on there, those of the things. Oswald has lived in Paris among artists, and he believes in free unions. He believes in free unions between men and women rather than rigid church marriages. So he doesn't believe such kind of a church marriages. He believes that men and women can live together, can have a sex, or can have, enjoy their life. There should not be any kind of obstacle, right, between them, or there should not be any such kind of means of problems should create between them. So Manders is horrified So who is Manders? We know that Pastor Manders is horrified, but Mrs. Alvin secretly sympathizes. Mrs. Alvin secretly sympathizes with her son's ideas. Right? It means she doesn't accept and she doesn't approve, but he is her son, isn't it? So you can say that means that's the reason she secretly sympathizes with her son's ideas. But at the end of Act One, what we find out? We find out Oswald Albin flirts. Flirts means what? A flattering or like criticizing, or you can say that humiliating. Whom? Now lightly with Regina. Who is Regina? Regina is the maid servant of Mrs. Alvin's family, isn't it? Give me a second. Okay, so we understood that what by the end of the it's Act One, right? You understood that how it all started in Act One, right? So by the end of Act One, we find out that uh, Oswald Alvin flirts lightly with Regina, right? Which disturbs Mrs. Alvin, right or not? She begins to fear that the hidden scenes of the past, hidden scenes of the past, her husband's immortality are rising again. So, threatening to destroy the younger generation, she cries out that she sees ghosts. It means what his father has done, so he is doing, isn't it? So, therefore, you could find out his father's quality is present in him. Got my point? And that's what you would find out. In Act 2, what happened? The truth about the past. Now, what is that father has done? We need to know that. So, and why Mrs. Alving considers that will present in his son, her son. So, in the second act, we find out Mrs. Alving and Pastor Manders speak more openly, isn't it? Manders remind her. Manders reminds her that what years ago, when her marriage was unbearable. Unbearable means what? Not able to tolerate, right? So she once ran away. She once ran away means that here it refers to Mrs. Alvin. She once ran away from her husband and uh, and wanted refuge with the Manders. Wanted refuge with Manders. So, but he persuaded her to return. He persuaded her to return means what? Now, Pastor Manders convinced her to return, telling her that it was her duty. It was her duty as a wife, right? Mrs. Alvin now reveals that her husband never reformed. Never reformed means never changed, right or not? He continued his debauchery until death. Right. So, what do you mean by debauchery? That debauchery is a negative, destroyed them, and uh, he has the extramarital affair till his death, isn't it? So, debauchery until his death. She confesses. Mrs. Alvin confessed that what? Mrs. Alvin confessed that she sent Oswald away as a child to protect him from exposure to his father's corrupt influence. Right. So she raised her son through letters and lies. Through letters and lies, it means she tells all the lies. Means never tries to present her before him. Right. So trying to preserve a noble image of his father. So even if his father was not in a more good character, debauchery in nature, immoral in behavior, so despite that, means what Mrs. Alvin did or presented before Oswald Alvin now to show that how his father was, isn't it? So she admits that all the wealth means all the property, right? All the wealth, all the property she has used for the orphanage was actually Captain Alving's fortune, right? Whose fortune, right? Actually, Oswald Alvin should receive that, but it is given to the orphanage, right? It is the property of Captain Alvin. So, and she is glad it will not go to Oswald. It will not go to Oswald. So it was the tainted money. The money that are not been the money that is not been considered as a legal, that's not called as a legitimate, right? So or proper, isn't it? So Manders is a shop and check-in. Who is Manders? Pastor Manders. Because it is the conversation between Pastor Manders and Alvin, Mrs. Alvin, right or not? So Manders is shocked and checked because he didn't know that, right? He realizes that his moral advice years ago condemned Mrs. Alvin to decades of misery, isn't it? So in that case, he realizes that his moral advices, right? Moral advice years ago condemned. It means the advice which will actually destroy Mrs. Alvin to decades of misery. Misery means called as a sad situation. So meanwhile, Oswald, right? So son, Oswald Alvin begins to grow closer to Regina. Right. So Mrs. Alvin, fearing a romantic connection, maybe the kind of a connection between them will turn to love, turn to lust. Right. So fearing a romantic connection reveals to Manders a devastating secret. Now, what is that devastating secret? Is that the secret that Regina and Oswald were in a love, or Oswald wanted to have sex with Regina, right? Or wanted to rape her, right or not? So Regina is not Ingstron's daughter. Who is Ingstron? Ingstron is none other than means carpenter who becomes or who is supposed to the father of Regina. Who is supposed to the father of Regina? We know that he is a carpenter. He is a manipulator. His conversation with Regina made Regina suspicious, isn't it? So here it is stated that Regina is not Ingstron's daughter. If Regina is not Ingstron's daughter, then whose daughter she is? She is the daughter of Captain Alvin. She is the daughter of Captain Alvin. It means Oswald is her brother. Am I clear? Oswald is her brother. So, but Captain Alvin's illegitimate means called as a Nazareth, illegitimate child with a servant. Right. So, therefore, Regina and Oswald are half siblings. Regina and Oswald have half siblings. If they become lovers, it would be incest. Incest means called as a something which is destroying to the society, destroying to the culture, isn't it? So it would be something people will consider pollution, a kind of a pollution, isn't it? Now, this reveals or this revelation horrifies Manders, Pastor Manders, even more because Mrs. Alving declares bitterly that these are the ghosts. Which are the ghosts? Not the ghosts that you find out. Reputation, the ghost is indicating about the love between the brother and sister. They don't know that. So third is called as a means uh, Captain Alvin's legitimate nature, right? And instance manipulator, right? So those are the things. So am I clear? So she spoke of the scenes of the father. She spoke of the scenes of the father, right? Returning to haunt the children. It means it also made the house in my child's body, right? So, Act 3 is the final catastrophe. Final catastrophe means final disaster, right? So, the last act that brings everything to a climax, right? So, Inkster tries to manipulate Manders. Inkster, who is Inkster? Instance is the supposed father of Regina. So Instant tries to manipulate Manders into supporting his seller's home, pretending it will be a respectable place. Isn't it? When a fire breaks out at the orphanage, when a fire breaks into the orphanage, which had not been insured because of Mander's advice. Now, do you see that if it was insured, then Mrs. Alvin could get some money, but Pastor Mander's advice made Mrs. Alvin's orphanage destroyed. That one day it was a fire and it was gone. And instant means request them to stay in their house. Right. Now, Manders panics. Manders panics. Pastor Manders panics, fearing public scandal. Afraid of what? People, public scandal. Cunningly offered to take the blame if Manders will support his home project. Right. Instant cunningly. Cunningly means what? Very cleverly offers to take the blame. He said that I will take all the blame if Manders will support his home project. Pastor Manders will support Instant in his home project. Terrified for his reputation and agreed. So Pastor Manders, looking at his reputation, agrees with Instant. Right. So therefore, once again you would find out hypocrisy and social appearances, that victory over truth, isn't it? Meanwhile, the real tragedy unfolds. What is the real tragedy? The real tragedy is called as Regina and Oswald. So between Oswald and Regina, and between Oswald and Mrs. Alvin, so Oswald confesses to his mother that he has inherited a terrible disease from his father's seeds. Because of his father did all kind of a mistake. He carried a terrible disease from him. Right. So, and that disease is nothing but called as a congenital syphilis. Congenital syphilis. So, his doctors in Paris told him his condition is hopeless. He is not going to survive. Right. He calls it the joy of life destroyed. How did he enjoy his life and how his life was destroyed because of his happiness? Right. So Oswald explains that what he fears. What does he fear? He fears madness. He fears paralysis. He fears helplessness. Oswald feels. He tells his mother that if the worst happens, so she must give him a fatal dose of morphine to spare him from suffering. If fatal happens, fatal means what? Sudden shock, sudden deadly shock occurs to him, then he requested his mother to give him morphine drugs, right? So she lives with uh, Mrs. Alving is horrified when she found out. Uh, she is horrified, torn between maternal love and despair because she is a mother. How could she see that? How could she see that his son would die? And that's why she got despair, right? So at that moment, Regina learns the truth. What does she learn the truth? Of her parentage, isn't it? So this illusion, she refuses to stay. This illusion she refused to stay, saying she has no wish to sacrifice her life for Oswald. Right? Oswald Alving, who is suffering from drug addiction, who is any moment is attacking with the fatal or what is it, sudden shock of right death. So she lives with the bitterness. Regina lives with what bitterness. Bitterness is what that's something called as a very bad. And earlier, what happened? She has the respect as long as she didn't know about the relation. Once she came to know the relation, she had bitterness, uh, determined to desire her own fortune. She wanted to create her own luck, fortune. So finally, what happened? Oswald is suffering and will die. Mrs. Alvin cries, right? Pastor Manders was punishing for means, his agreement with Esther Lang, right? And Regina wanted to make her own future, right? So the play ends with what? Oswald collapsing. Oswald collapsing in his mother's arms. It means he died in his mother's arms, already showing sign of mental breakdown. Sign of mental breakdown as the sun rises outside. Mrs. Alving looks on in terror, right? Realizing that she may have to keep her promise. She may have to keep her promise. Now, what is her promise? She made her son's promise that when she die, when he is going to attack with the fatality, she will give morphine. Right. So the curtain falls on this devastating, destroying moment, leaving the audience in silence. Isn't it? Isn't it called as a heart-rending? Isn't it called as a Mrs. Alvin's life? Isn't it? So here, the themes and meaning, if you observe that, the ghost of the past. The central theme is the way past actions, scenes, lives, social hypocrisies haunt the present. So Captain Alving's debauchery, DEBAUCHERY, that called as illegitimate and corrupted and or means what you can say that presented with or having with lots of evil characteristics or qualities that continue to destroy lives even after his death. Mrs. Alving's son, Mrs. Alving's life meant to protect her son, now putting her son in danger. Isn't it? We want our children to stay away from all kind of evils. But remember that by trying to do that, somehow we are creating some other negative effects into them. Isn't it? So the title, right, refers not to supernatural, not to supernatural that the ghost present in him. The title refers not to supernatural beings, but to the invisible forces of tradition, social duty, and heredity. Right? These are the things on present as the ghost. Right? Hypocrisy of a society. Pastor Manders represents rigid morality and concern for appearances. He insists on upholding duty and decency even when it causes suffering. He refuses insurance. Why? for the orphanage to avoid scandal, right? And he hides the truth about what instance lies. So Ibsen criticizes society that values reputation over truth and compassion. Isn't it? That's called as a hypocrisy of society. The operation of Omen. The operation of Omen means Mrs. Alving's life demonstrates the limited choice of women in her time. It means women in the past makes themselves, you know, very conservative, very religious, very conservative, not too open, right? She was, and here in Mrs. Album, she was forced to stay with an immoral husband. She can't leave, right? Nowadays, if you see that some kind of a problem, divorce or legally separated or called as a means without any war, leave, isn't it? So, but here you would find out she was forced to stay with an immoral husband. Why? Because what the society will say. So that's what I was telling here. The operation of woman. So that is what it is stated. She was forced. She was forced to stay with an immoral husband, right? Because society and church demanded it. Her attempt to protect her son, her attempt to protect her son and build a better future are actually undermined by social constraints, social restriction. Regina also desires for independence, but it is all she is also trapped by her illegitimate birth, right? So, and you also find out hereditary and disease, right? Heredity and disease. What is that heredity and disease? Now, if you talk about that, Oswald's inherited syphilis. Oswald's inherited syphilis represent the biological ghost, right? That passed from parents to children. Ibsen explores that explores the idea that scenes of one generation are visited upon the next. Not only you can say socially, but also physically, isn't it? That's why it is called as heredity. And the last which we say truth versus lies. You also find out lies, right or not? You also find out lies. We find out that Ibsen's ghost is a relentless or continuous critique of what hypocrisy. Ibsen's ghost is nothing but a continuous critique of hypocrisy, moral cowardice, and cowardice. You understand that called as a coward in nature, right? And the coward means what? Somebody who doesn't have the courage to express, isn't it? And the oppressive weight means called as a torture, humiliation, and their burden, right, of a tradition. It's a shocking subject matter that called as incest, venereal disease, and euthanasia. What do you mean by euthanasia? That when means Oswald is suffering from right, fatality. At the same time, means the mother wants to make him die by giving him morphine or loss, right or not? That's known as a killing somebody for his own happiness. Killing somebody for his own happiness, isn't it? So it was called or considered scandalous. It's not about in the case that has been given in the ghost. It is just the reflection of the society during the 19th century, isn't it? So the play shows the destructive power of lies, and it is clearly stated Mrs. Alving's lies about her husband. Right or no? So created false ideas means Mrs. Alving stated that my husband is like that before Oswald. Right. For her son, your father is like that. Very good man. Manders lies, Pastor Manders, who knew the truth but did not reveal. Pastor Manders lies to protect appearances and avoid insurance corruption. Right. Only the painful truth can set people free. Only the painful truth can set people free. But society stops it. Right. Society doesn't allow the people to say truth, isn't it? So, therefore, at the end of this text, we can find out that what Ibsen's ghost is a continuous critique of hypocrisy, moral cowardice, and the oppressive weight of tradition. It's a shocking subject matter like incest, venereal disease, euthanasia, and these were considered scandalous in the 19th century, but its themes remain powerful today. Theme, right? So the play shows how individuals are trapped by ghosts of the past, by old lies, by social convention, and by inherited scenes. Mrs. Alving's tragedy is that she wants to free her son from his father's corruption, but she could not escape the forces of heredity. She could not escape the forces of society. The play ends with no resolution. The play ends with means only despair, sadness, pride, condolence, right? So, reflecting the serious reality Albert Ibsen saw in his work, isn't it? That's what Mr. Ibsen's goes to. Henrik